I will be making in due time a number of recommendations specific to safety and security elements in schools. There are two elements that are often conflated. One is this. I agree with those who assert it is absolutely legitimate that the presence of police in schools, inside schools, to protect students is not the highest priority. What we have observed, however, many times in our community, almost every week in Los Angeles, is not the threat within the school, is actually the threat from outside the school posed against the school. Unfortunately, sometimes individuals with weapons jumping the fence of the school, attempting to gain access to the school, to cause harm upon school staff or students. The current model of the police deployment is consistent with what the board approved. At the same time, we have both a professional moral responsibility, if we know of imminent threats, of having to respond to those, and that we have done. At no point has this administration deployed police into schools permanently. If there is a community concern, a legitimate threat, it is responded based on school request with some degree of presence, which is assessed periodically, but never more than 1 to 2 weeks. That's the way the operation has been conducted. We have significantly increased the number of safe passage contracts, now to, I believe, Pedro, correct me if I'm wrong, 70 across the district, the highest number ever. There is no problem at this point as far as capacity is concerned. There are a number of entities that have been contracted based on availability and based on priority specific to a number of schools, based on circumstances around that school that need them first. We balance the interests of students, community, and school all together. That's how decisions are made. With that said, you'll be hearing a number of recommendations beyond the policy that the board adopted a number of years ago prior to me arriving that will actually go beyond that. Number one, and I'll tease what some of these issues are. Number one, a restructuring of specific policy addressing the utilization of some tools available to law enforcement. Secondly, additional resources specific to mental health and social emotional support in schools that are currently not reflected in the budget. Thirdly, aggressive professional development on de-escalation techniques which are already exercised by law enforcement, but in a much more determined and specific way. And lastly, a revamped process for the swift investigation embedded in policy of incidents involving school staff, particularly law enforcement, to be written into policy to be investigated only by external entities, third-party entities, not investigated by school board entities. This is just a primer in the beginning. We have not sat on our hands. We've been at work on this matter. And the first indication of that will be the presentation at the committee meeting Monday. Thank you very much, Madam President.